Welcome, Natasha and Omesh Verma to Talks to Go. Welcome, guys. Natasha, I think our listeners in New York and the New Jersey area primarily know you as a news anchor on Fox 5 and New York, and we'll definitely get touch on that in a little bit, but they might not be aware of your involvement with the Verma Foundation. So if you could tell our listeners and viewers about the foundation and the role that your dad plays in it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having us on. It's such a pleasure to be here. The Verma Foundation is a charity that my family created, and we give real hair cap wigs to cancer patients completely free of cost. I'm a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed back in 2017 with stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma, and losing my hair was one of the hardest parts of chemotherapy. I think as a family, we fought together, and I could not have gone through my battle without, my family, without my dad, who was with me during every single chemo treatment. My dad was there. And yeah, it was definitely a family effort. And the foundation is something that we created together to, do something positive in this world. And with what we went through as a family, it became very apparent that that was going to be cancer recovery. So that's what we do. That's how we help patients. We've been given out thousands, over 3,000 cap wigs to patients across the world.
Wow,
Wonderful.
that's
Natasha,
amazing.
in looking at your website, I saw that the cap wigs, excuse me, are made primarily for women and teens. Am I
Mhm.
correct? And,
Yes, and young
and
children.
any thought of making them for guys who experience this as well?
Yes, we've tried. We've tried. It's a little complicated with the way that you do the design
Okay.
with the hair, because it's got to like stick out just right on a man's head. There's so much in this process that I'm learning about the cap wig. And honestly, in a lot of ways, I was the guinea pig going through it. So I put the cap wig on, and I remember thinking, oh, it's super it's scratchy, it's itchy. And I told my mom, who I work with closely in the foundation as well, and we created a really soft lining on the inside of the cap. And so we've kind of been evolving with what our patients needs are. So for now, what we do is we give a free cap with that velvet, with that soft lining on the inside, for free to men as well.
Talk a little bit about the effect that it's had on the people who are recipients of these caps.
It's been an amazing response. When I first launched this, I thought, oh, I'm thinking about my hair. That was my first thought. I feel so vain. Do people really care? And what I realized was that it's not about vanity, it's about dignity. So when we started to launch these cap wigs, women from all over the world were like, thank you for creating something like this. There's no resources like this out there, because it's completely custom, it's real hair, it's free. And we give it to patients, and it's a need, and the response has been incredible.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
Omesh, as dads, I think you would agree that we're always concerned. I don't care how old our daughters are. We're always concerned about their welfare. As a teenager, Natasha experienced remarkable academic trajectory. Her potential seemed limitless, and then at the age of 23, she receives this cancer diagnosis. I'm curious, how did you receive the diagnosis? What were your thoughts when you heard about it?
Well, the news hit me like I was hit by 18-wheeler.
Mm.
That's um, I have my mother died of cancer, um, but when you fight cancer for with your mother, you know the parents are gonna pass before you, but you don't want to hear cancer coming into your child.
Yep.
Right.
So I don't know. I was maybe for a period of time an emotional wreck.
As a medical doctor, did it make it easier or more difficult for you to deal with it?
Both.
Both.
It cuts both ways. Um, the cancer that she had was very favorable. It was There is a very high survival rate. But as a doctor, unfortunately, I only focused on the negative part of it.
Right.
So when you know too much about some cancers, um, it cuts both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Natasha, for you, how was it to have your dad knowing he's a doctor and maybe has a little more information than the average person and know, how to sort of navigate it? What was that like for you?
I mean, it was really because of my dad that I pushed to get an answer to my question, which was, why do I have a lump and why won't it go away? And, my dad was the first person who I called when I found the lump. And then when we realized that it could be something more, I went to an emergency room. And that first doctor, she gave me pain meds, and I went on my way with just pain meds. And she actually moved the lump around, and she's like, "Oh, it's moving, so that's a good sign, and it must just be a gym injury or something like that." And so I'd been in contact, just talking to my dad about the lump and everything, and he's like, "You should go to another doctor because there's only so much he can do from Texas to take a look at it." So I ended up going to another doctor, and that one, my dad remembers because he was on the phone call with that doctor. Said, "Sweetie, you're going to get bumps and bruises all over your body. You don't need to come in for every single one of them." Was very dismissive. And my dad was with me over the phone, and he would talk to the doctor who ultimately decided to do an ultrasound and then a CT scan. And so my dad was with me through that entire process. And then, Hurricane Sandy, or Hurricane Harvey was hitting my hometown the same week that I was diagnosed. So, my family was going through a lot with the hurricane, which my dad will tell you did not even know that a hurricane was coming, right? Until you got to the airport and your nurse called
Yeah,
you.
I was completely like in a zone. I clearly remember it was a Monday when I talked to the ER doctor, and Natasha was actually supposed to visit us, and I have my own medical practice, so we were doing ultrasound, and ER doctor told me that she's coming, maybe she can get an ultrasound there. So I said, well, while she's gonna come and get it over here, why don't we just do it over there quickly while she's in the ER? So they did it, and they found a lymph node, and that then they had to do a CAT scan to see what is the extent of it. And so I remember 3 or 4 o'clock, um, and I had heard some murmuring that some hurricane is heading towards Texas, but not necessarily. I was zoned out. So I clearly remember Wednesday afternoon, I flew in from Austin to Boston to be with Natasha, and here I am just sitting there at nighttime. A lot of thoughts coming in my mind. 95% of thoughts were for Natasha, rest 5% other things, and then I'm looking at this um, weather report on my TV, and I see that this thing is coming directly for us. And that was the first time I realized, oh my God, there is a hurricane coming also. And I did not make enough preparations for it because I was just completely sidetracked by Natasha's situation at that point. Um, but yeah, I mean, in life always uh, tells me that in life always you when you hit by two situations that are very grave, you just gravitate towards the one that is very serious and you are very involved in it. And so, and lo and behold, that hurricane did hit my office, and we were out of commission for a period of time.
Wow.
At
It
what
was a
point?
crazy time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
At what point, Omesh, did you feel that Natasha had turned the corner and that there were going to be brighter days ahead?
Well, so how they do the treatment is that they do the chemotherapy every 2 weeks, and the treatment of Hodgkin's lymphoma is actually has gotten much, much better. It is really, really a curable disease now for most part. So before they had treatments that caused a lot of side effects. Now they have a treatment regimen which has side effects, but not that much. And then they have also found out the way. Uh, Before they used to radiate everybody, and the radiation is the one that bothered me the most, because then this radiation can turn into other problems later. So now what they do is they give you chemotherapy for 2 months, every 2 weeks, and then they do a PET scan to see if it cleared up. If it cleared up, you are in the favorable segment of the population, and you then get one more round of chemotherapy for a month, and you're done. So that time, October 31st, and if you have a little time, I can give you a short story
Go for it.
that tells what that tells really what Natasha is. Um, so it was October 31st. We are in Boston. She was going to get a, a PET scan on Friday, on Thursday, and we will meet the oncologist on Friday. And that is where it depends whether she's going to be in a favorable or unfavorable segment. Now, unfavorable means a lot more aggressive treatment. Now we're
Mhm.
talking about really radiation and stem cell and all that whole 9 years.
Right.
So I'm really worried. I mean, Thursday we go out to eat. For before the PET scan, they advise you to eat a big fatty meal. So we go to this nice place and have a steak and all that. I love steak, and Natasha loves steak, and you know, Natasha ate. She was fine. She was joking around. I was outwardly joking around. Inwardly, I'm a wreck. And then right after we eat, Natasha said, Dad, you are here on Halloween weekend, and you are in Boston, and we're going to go to Salem. Where else is the best place to go? And I said, Natasha, that depends on how your results come. And she said, if they're unfavorable, you want me to just sit at home and feel sorry for myself? I want to enjoy every day.
Mm.
It doesn't matter whether it's favorable or unfavorable. I don't know. I looked at her and I said, oh my God, I learned something from my daughter today. Big time. I mean, that's exactly what she is. The girl is motivated, the girl is positive thinking, the girl always give positive vibes. And
Attitude
atti-
matters, right?
attitude matters.
Yeah.
It's like I I couldn't believe it what I heard. But we were fortunate. The next day we got very good news, and we all enjoyed Salem. Really
Yeah,
enjoyed.
we did.
uh,
Yeah.
but that tells you how she thinks, what her way of thinking is, what her attitude is, how motivated is she for her work. So yeah,
So
on
Natasha's positivity obviously had a tremendous impact on you.
on me, and probably on her disease as well.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Probably on her disease. I tell all my patients also, whenever they go through that, be positive, because you never know when things will turn around. You never know. You cannot predict how things will happen. Sometimes seemingly really bad situation can turn into a good one.
So I think the lesson coming out of this, there is something definite about the power of positive thinking,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, we alluded at the top of the conversation about Natasha's academic accomplishments. She graduated from the University of Texas. Going to give a UT shout out, Natasha.
Yes.
Hook 'em
Hook
horns, right?
'em.
Hook 'em horns. There you go. She got undergraduate degrees in both broadcast journalism and biology pre-med. Omesh, how did you feel about her not pursuing the road toward a career in medicine?
She, for a time, wanted to do it, but then she made a decision that she doesn't want to do it. I think we evolve. And Natasha is a very perfect example of it. So when she was in high school, with us in Victoria, where we lived at that time. She she's only looking at her dad and the circle of my friends who are mostly physicians, and she says, "I want to be a doctor." Now she goes to UT, and she goes to UT at ripe old age of 14, and she pursues um, two two ways. She is going bachelor's in biology for medicine, and then she's also doing journalism, communication, broadcast, and journalism, because that was also growing up. She was very comfortable talking to people. She had initiatives. She was actually outstanding youth volunteer awarded by governor of Texas. There were four outstanding youth volunteers. She was one of them. And then she was, I think it was 12 or 13 years old. She was very comfortable talking about to kids on stage about diabetes. She must have told you about that. She did a like an initiative on diabetes, a child to child perspective. So that's another story. But going here in Texas, she suddenly sees that at her perspective, she thinks that she will be very well served and will enjoy if she goes into broadcast journalism. So she just made that decision and just let us know about it. And I did not take it wrong. I said, well, it's your life. You want to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you going into medicine is not an easy job. I mean, it requires a lot of dedication and a lot of commitment, a lot of days that you're not able to sleep and all that. And that's what I'm talking about when you are in academia,
Mhm.
not even before you start practicing. And to do something that you don't really enjoy 100% is a torture. Don't do it.
For sure.
So I took it very well. I
Yeah.
have, yeah, and she has excelled in what she has done, and I mean, I have full faith and trust in her abilities.
Natasha, I'm curious, and I'll tell you in a moment why I'm asking this question,
Mhm.
but I'd love to get your perspective. Was there any concern about going to UT at the tender age of 14, not so
Mhm.
much from an academic perspective, but from a socialization perspective? And the reason why I'm asking this, I'll give you a little bit of background. My dad graduated from DeWitt Clinton High School in New York City at the age of 16, and he told me on a number of occasions he wished he hadn't done it that young,
Mhm.
not because he wasn't academically qualified, but here he was with guys who were shaving. He wasn't. It was tough. It was tough. So I'm just curious as to how you dealt with that.
Yeah, it definitely was tough. I mean, I was, 15, 16, 17. I graduated when I was 17, in these, in the dorms, in the classrooms. And there was clearly an age gap in a lot of it, but I had a really great support system, and I actually made so many wonderful friends at UT, and my family was there in Austin, so I felt supported, and I, didn't feel like um, I didn't feel less than in a lot of ways because of the people who I had around me. And I fell in love with journalism when I was at UT. I love UT so much because it built me into the person I am today. And it really solidified, a decision. Like that was a tough decision to make, to go from not doing medicine, which is what I'd seen all my life, to then wanting to get into broadcast journalism. But there was the only FCC approved, only FCC licensed TV station in the country that's run by students is on the campus of the University of Texas, called Texas Student TV. And I just immersed myself in there. And I actually created a morning show, Good Morning Texas, which still, like, we made it from scratch. Like, one of my dad's patients, Faith, is the one who painted this beautiful skyline on the set, on behind which, we had our tables and everything, our chairs, and we made this beautiful show, Good Morning Texas. And I immersed myself so much into that world, and I found my support system and I found my people. And so it didn't make I no way did I feel like my college experience was less than. Of course, it's the only reality I have. So it's not like I have anything to compare it to, but I kind of just lived my life with no regrets, and it built me into the person I am today. And I still have, lifelong friends from UT. I was just recently on the campus there. Well, I go to the campus there like every year, but I got awarded Outstanding Young Texas X in 2023 or 2024. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. And I loved my time at UT. But yeah, it was taking classes when you're 15 years old, 16 years old. It's intimidating, it's scary, it can be very lonely. But I surrounded myself with good people.
Yeah. Give you
And
major
I will
props.
I will add that I know it always crossed our mind that she is going there very young. Um, uh, Being a physician, I was very busy, but Natasha's mother and my wife, Shama, she was always behind her. Always. I mean, if we made it a point that we are that as these kids, and my younger daughter, Natasha's younger sister, went to law school also when she was only 17 years old. So we made it a point that as a family, since the kids are overachieving and the kids are really smart and they are in not to make them feel that this is going to be a problem, but we will try to compensate with our effort into it until at some point that they will uh, be societally, mature enough that they will be able to handle it. And so I think all my three kids, I'm proud of them, is that they went to their respective careers in very early age, all three of them, and they all kind of became mature. So when they became more mature, they were able to handle the societal pressures very well.
Yeah. I mean, as we mentioned earlier, Natasha, you're a news anchor in the biggest TV market in the country. And what is the best thing about being an anchor, and what is the most challenging?
I think the best thing about being an anchor and why I really got into this business is I love meeting new people. I love telling stories. I love experiences. And I love just being part of that human experience. And I get to be on the front lines of that every single day. And especially these days, it feels like everything is so unprecedented. I think that's the 2024 banner word. And now 2025 is already off to an unprecedented start. And so it's just been so incredible to witness history and have a front seat to it and be the one often to give that news to our viewers and break it down and contextualize everything. And that's just kind of like how my brain works. I'm very curious. I love to learn. I love new things. And then I love to kind of put a story together, piece a story together, and be able to communicate that to people and contextualize it. And I think two, that is also part of my job is the challenge of doing that in a balanced and fair way, of course, and then also just the day-to-days challenges of it is just built in to
Yeah,
what I do with anchoring.
totally.
Omesh, what is the best thing about being Natasha Verma's dad?
These
I'm blessed.
podcasts.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I Natasha was an easy child to raise. She was very motivated. She was a lot of people. They tell me, "Oh, you raised her really good," and that. But I'll tell you, Natasha, a lot of it was Natasha's own efforts. Uh, she was a she was a very organized child, very motivated child right from the beginning. Um, you would go into her room when she was a teenager, and you would feel like everything is in its place. There is a little uh, paper and pen on the desk that outlines her plans to go, long-term plans, short-term plans. I mean, she was a methodical child, and I see her very tenacious, very motivated, um, and very empathetic towards others also. And it's like, she has a singular focus on what I'm going to do in life. And she keeps on doing, and she is open to suggestions. That's the whole thing. You know, sometimes I hear about the parents saying, "Oh, that's what we advise our children," and they never followed it. That was never a problem because if she did not like one of my advice, there was a good reason behind it. So it easy child to raise, very motivated. I'm blessed.
And a fun or two. We recently went to Dubai in India for my birthday, and I planned the whole thing.
Yeah,
Put
That
together
sounds
the itinerary.
it's always fun going places with her. Always fun.
Natasha, whenever you have spare time, you can come organize my closet. How about
I,
that?
I honestly would love nothing more than to organize a closet. It's my favorite thing to
you
do.
you've got an open invitation, I promise.
Okay.
Do you feel like you have similar traits to your dad, or would you say you guys are different in that sense?
No, I definitely think, well, the OCD organizational thing, I think I know where that comes from, my dad. And I think both of us are very curious and we love to learn. And my dad growing up taught me everything I know academically, like everything. My dad was my first teacher, and we would bring the books back, and my fondest memories is just, my dad teaching me so many different topics, and we both just love to like learn and read. And I remember I'd sit down with him and we would just watch the History Channel,
Yeah.
and my dad pre-taped all of the presidents. So all of the presidents. I think the History Channel back in the day did a great presentation on every single president, and we would just sit down and watch those and like just nerd out over presidents. And my dad's really into American history, and so he also taped like was it the millennium.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would watch those too, just kind of like biggest history moments over the years. So he's a huge history buff. And I think I get a lot of that interest in journalism. My dad fostered that in a lot of ways, just like that curiosity and learning and asking questions. And I think just, questioning everything also is, something like I feel like we have in common too. And that's part of being a journalist. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities between us. I probably am more of a adventurer than him at any point. I think um I'll go from a friend's place to another friend's place back home, and he'll always just be like, you need to stop, you need to go to sleep. And I think we're probably different in that way. That's
Yeah.
probably that I'm more of my mom in
That's your
the
mom.
social butterflyness.
So
Yeah.
a little bit from both sides.
Exactly, yeah. But at least I got my cleanliness from my dad. Definitely, no offense to my mom, but the organizational skills are not as good as dad's.
That's okay. That's okay. We all can't have that, I guess. So Natasha, your dad lives in Texas and you live in New York. So how often do you guys communicate and are in touch with one another?
Well, I'm trying to maybe get him to move to New York. It's been a hard sell because Texas is so great. But I go to Texas about I'd say every other month. We try to see each other, every other month. I love Austin, so we'll go down there a lot. And then I mean we talk every single day. So we talk on either on the phone or texting, but I'm in communication with the whole family, especially my dad, like every day. And then we'll make visits depending on who's where in the country.
Awesome.
Yeah, we talk every day, and I wish I could go visit New York more often, but then whatever I can't do, my wife, Natasha's mom, she does it. She's very involved, so she will fly over and she'll just spend time with her. Always, we are a family that is very involved with everybody. And so don't feel that we need to do more or I have to move to New York is fine. I mean, maybe someday that'll happen. But right now, I feel that we talk and interact plenty, and
Mhm.
we actually, advise each other. I also appreciate advice from all my three kids, Natasha being the oldest. Whatever they advise me, because that's the only way to know is to listen to the younger generation as well, and do things that are that's the way the world is moving.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Natasha, you grew up in the
Mhm.
South and now you have deep roots in New York,
Mhm.
which I feel like they're very different and might have a lot
Mhm.
of differences. Do you prefer one over the other?
They're just so different. I
Yeah.
mean, I love Texas so much. It's a big piece of my heart. It's home. It's where I was raised. But I have a deep love for New York. I was born in New York City. My dad did his, actually, it's a great story. I was born in the same hospital where my dad was doing his residency.
Oh my gosh.
And I was born, in the same hospital in New York City downtown hospital, which is now Presbyterian, Lower Manhattan. And my dad was a resident doctor there in '94, and that's where I was born. And so there, my dream always, as much as I love Texas, my dream always was to get to New York City. I remember in my dorm room at UT, I had a huge picture of a yellow cab on a rainy street, and I would look at that picture and I would think, oh, I want to be in New York City so bad. I always knew that I wanted to be in New York, and I just had this draw and connection to the city, and that wanted to get me back. And so I did ultimately get back through Columbia, and then I had to leave to earn my chops, work my way up, and I did that for 10 years before I finally got back to New York and got this opportunity. But there, yeah, it's hard to compare Texas, New York. They're so different, but I definitely you can take the girl out of Texas, but you can't take the Texas out of the girl, and that's that's how it is in New York.
Yeah.
Understandable. Yeah.
The
You know,
weather
it's
is nicer there.
for sure, for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, it's
We have very hot summers though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really hot summers,
Yeah,
yeah.
like we go to 120 degrees and all
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
but I think we can handle more heat than cold.
This is very true. I can barely handle the heat.
And
So,
I hate the
yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's very apparent that the two of you have a wonderful relationship. One might even call it perfect, but as we know, perfection is virtually, if not impossible to achieve, right? So, Omesh, if you were granted a do-over, would you change anything, and I mean anything, about the relationship that you've had with Natasha?
Um, we have our arguments, but they are always resolved, and we can see the way the other person wants us to see. So we can, if it's a do-over, um, honestly, I don't think so that I will do anything different. Uh, Honestly, because I am one of those people who like to change, who like to always appreciate the change, appreciate the newness in the younger generation, and not everything is good, but whatever is good, I like to imbibe. I came from India. I still have things that I like about India, but then there are a lot of things I like about America, and so I I will take the good from everything. Um, I would not say that any relation in the world is perfect, but I will say that my relation with Natasha is as perfect as it can get.
Wow.
Do we have any arguments about things and all that? Yes, we do. But we would sometimes have arguments about our political position also. We would have arguments when we were watching history. Um, but that is good. That two people arguments are good because arguments mean that everybody is involved in it, and
And there's passion.
it's
Hmm.
passion. Everybody's passion.
Yeah.
So to be passionate about some stuff, anything is very good.
Yeah.
Natasha, how about you? Anything you would change?
Yeah, as my dad was talking, I was like, I knew he was going to say that. I these questions are so hard because it's like, life is life, right? If my dad and I fight, we will argue, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it and then we'll grow from it and hopefully not repeat it, not do it again. But all of that's such a growing, it's such an experience. And then I think we're also experiencing new things. I mean, I'm the oldest, I'm the firstborn, and so I'm experiencing every stage of life brand new with my parents. And uh, it's like the first time we all traveled together, just the three of us. So we travel often, but that was a learning experience too. Like, what are the, what did we like? What did we not like? And so we learned next time we travel, we're going to do it this way. I think everything is a learning moment. And I don't believe in do-overs. I think that it's learning. And if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't change anything because it's been a journey, and that's the beauty of it.
Totally. I would agree with that 100%. I mean, we're very similar. Like we have a great relationship, but obviously, in every great relationship you have arguments and little bickers, and you definitely can take that and learn from it and grow. And would you agree?
I would absolutely
All
agree.
right. Well,
You know,
there you
I
go.
had I spent a great time of my professional career in advertising, and I'll never forget one of my clients had an expression that I never failed to forget, and I use it a lot. And he would always say, "We can agree to disagree,"
Mhm.
Yes.
and I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Natasha, for you, is there anything that your dad does that drives you a little bit crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I think at any moment my dad thinks that I'm being kidnapped by someone, and or that bullets are flying outside the window, and I just think, I know that the war always at like the baseline is 10. So but I think my dad is just, it's the big city. I think he worries about his children, and I don't think it can be changed at this point. I've been trying. I've been trying.
Totally. I mean, I get those worries too every time I go into the city at night and I'm, parking in a garage or whatever. My mom's like, just, look around you, make sure you're safe, make sure you're all
Right.
good.
Yep.
I feel like as women too, we just instinctively have that awareness. But
Yeah, my mom will be like, "Oh, I saw on Instagram you were there. No way, that's so cool." And then my dad will be like, he'll know like night of where I'm going, where I'm at. He'll know all the details, all the logistics. And my mom's very like laissez-faire about it. She'll be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, that's have fun, that's cool." But yeah, I think he's a concerned parent.
Yeah,
understood.
and then I am the worrywart in this outfit with me and my wife, and that's a good thing because if both were worrywarts, it would be a really horrible mess. My wife is more adventurous, and that is where Natasha got her adventure, being that she when she went to University of Texas at age 14, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would say, what the hell did I do? I'm a child at 14 over there. And my wife she will calm me down and she will say, don't worry about it. If your child is able to handle all that, then what are you worried about? So matches are made in heaven, as they say. So she is more of adventurous. I am more of cautious one. Um, but that's what you need in an outfit. And I know Natasha would if she's out and about at 2 a.m. at night. Uh, I don't think so. I will be able to sleep. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when they're all home, okay, fine. And that's not just for her, the other two also.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
my son, youngest one, I worry, he sometimes will tell me, he says, I'm an adult. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
But I guess if I have to change something, that is the only thing. Attitude might change a little bit, and I'm working on it.
Yeah. Now, Natasha, we know you on social media posts that you have a beautiful Bernese Mountain Dog, and
Yes.
I am actually so
Yes.
jealous. Like
Oh, she
that is my dream to have one
oh, she's
day.
great.
Yeah.
She's over by the front door. Duchess, come here. I don't know if she'll come.
That's okay.
But yes, she is the light of my life, and I love Duchess so much, and my dad loves Duchess so much. I think she's everyone's screensaver in this family.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh
I
my God.
I mean, they're
And
so beautiful,
Oh,
honestly.
the best
Yeah.
dogs.
she's our grandfather baby, and when you should see when we go over there, how my wife meets her, it's like licks her all over. I mean, it's
Yes.
just
Duchess loves my parents, loves my mom, and Bernese Mountain Dogs are the best dogs. They're loyal, they're fluffy, they're sweet, they're so innocent, they're gentle, and they're just giant. They're just giant lover bears, and they're so cute.
Yep.
I love her. I got her in New England when I lived in Boston.
Oh,
So I've been with Duchess. I got her at 10 weeks, and now she's 8.
oh my God.
Wow.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, we'll be having one in the future. But
you should.
yes, yes. Here's the $1 million question. If you were stranded on an island,
Mhm.
who would you rather have as your companion, your dog or your dad?
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like my dad's here to have to say him. If I'm stuck on the island, oh, I don't know. I probably like I think like I think my dog, I'm sorry.
and
I'm
I
sorry.
know the answer really, really like a dog.
My dog. I'm sorry. I just can't. Yeah, we probably end up one of us would end up drowning the other off the island.
Well, there you go. The truth comes out.
Yeah.
Well, guys, if you haven't had enough fun already, we've come to the segment of the podcast we call Rapid Fire Roundup. And here's
Okay.
how it works. In rapid fire fashion, we're going to alternate between the two of you. We're going to give you very quick questions or choices. We want your spontaneous response. Don't do a lot of thinking. And Natasha, I've got the first question for you.
Okay.
We're going to start with some Texas tidbits. So since we're recording this on the day of the Academy Awards, next year, who wins the Oscar for Best Actor in a film called They Call Me Mr. Texas? Matthew McConaughey or Woody Harrelson?
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah,
Okay.
he screams Texas.
I mean,
Omesh.
yeah, he's our mascot.
Yeah.
Okay. Omesh, in a similar vein, which recording artist wins the Grammy next year for her album called Deep in My Heart of Texas? Kelly Clarkson or Beyonce?
Kelly Clarkson.
Okay.
Oh, love Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
Natasha,
Yeah, go ahead.
Texas toast or a New York bagel?
Oh, probably a New York bagel.
I
Oh,
agree.
they're so good. The water here just hits different. It's not
It
Texas water.
it's
Okay.
different. Omesh, the Dallas Cowboys or the Houston Texans?
Um, Dallas Cowboys.
All right.
Okay. Natasha, on a hot Texas summer afternoon, your go to beverage is.
Like a sweet iced tea.
Oh, so
Okay.
good. Omesh, fill in the blank. The one state I've never been to but would like to visit is.
Montana.
Ooh, that's a
Okay.
That's
good
a
one.
good one. Really
Yeah.
good.
That
Yeah.
is a good one.
Natasha,
Yellowstone.
Natasha, when Hollywood makes the Dr. O, the Omesh Verma story, who would you like to see play your dad?
Oh, that's a really good question. Uh, let's say George Clooney.
Ooh.
Mr.
A,
ER himself.
like a tanned George Clooney, a very tan George Clooney.
Okay. Omesh, in the same film, who plays Natasha?
Who plays Natasha? Yeah.
A good pop culture question.
Yeah,
Do
we
you
always
know
like to do
actors?
this.
And the actors, I mean, actors.
You can add in a little assistance if you need to.
I'll ask my wife.
Okay.
Hey, tell me who it's gonna be. Natasha herself.
Okay.
Oh, come on. That's such a mom answer.
There you go. There you go.
I'll play
Natasha,
myself.
Yeah, Natasha, if you were throwing an intimate private dinner party and money
Uh-huh.
was no object, who would you choose the entertainment to be?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I feel like someone like that's such a good question. Any entertainer in the world. Like, I don't know, Mariah Carey.
Oh, good one.
Okay.
All
All
How
right.
right,
amazing would that be?
All right.
so good.
Okay. Omesh, your favorite dessert.
My favorite dessert is cheesecake.
Oh, after our own heart.
All right.
Natasha, what is one thing you'd like to do with your dad that you've never done?
We should go skydiving.
Yes.
Would you be down?
Okay. Yeah.
We can
Or
all go.
scuba. We can go scuba. That'd be fun.
Yeah. All right. And last one. Omesh, my biggest dream for Natasha is blank.
Um, Biggest dream, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is to be anchor in the network.
All right. There we
How
go.
do you feel about that, Natasha? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, that's a dream of mine. I think just doing what I'm doing on a bigger scale, I think that's all part of evolution and growth for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
Wonderful. Well, we've now come to the part of the podcast we call cross examination, where the two of you now come off the hot seats.
Hmm.
And now it's time for you to ask us questions. So, because it's cross examination, Omesh, you get to ask a question of Jill, Natasha, one of me, and you guys can choose who goes first.
We're ready.
Um, you go first, Dad.
I'm gonna ask questions from you.
No, you ask a
No.
question of Jill.
You can ask me
You
any
can ask Jill any
question.
question.
Um, I don't know what to ask.
Ask her what's her favorite thing about her dad.
Well, okay, yeah, that's a fair question.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing about your dad?
Oh gosh. Okay. There's just not a lot of things to choose from. No, I'm kidding.
No.
I'm only kidding. Um, I would say that he's like you, just very supportive of anything and everything I do. And similarly, I mean, I'm not going from, like med school to journalism, but I've slightly sort of altered my career path in a sense. And, I thought because I wanted to be a photographer for the longest time. And then I decided maybe that wasn't the choice I wanted to do. And obviously, putting so much time and effort into one thing and then immediately switching after graduating from school can be a little nerve-wracking thing to tell your parents that you might want to
Hmm.
alter courses, but no, both my parents were so supportive and are continuing to be, and I couldn't be more grateful. So I would say that just your unwavering support. Yeah.
That's so nice.
That
I
Yeah.
is
love
nice.
that.
That's
Yeah.
Very
really,
nice.
that's
Yeah.
really.
Okay, my question for you then is, I really like that question you asked, what is your what is your hopes for her?
The simplistic answer would be to be happy.
Yeah.
But that's really what it boils down to. And I, professionally, personally, as Jill just mentioned, she has a tremendous eye. She's an unbelievable photographer. In fact, if I can brag a little bit, when she was at Ithaca College, she won the award. She won first place in the New York Press Association sports competition. And I think if she
That's a
chose to,
big deal.
it is a big
Wow.
deal. Yeah, yeah, big deal. And the Ithacan, and you probably know this, Natasha, the Ithacan is considered one of the preeminent student college newspapers in the
Mhm.
country. So to be a staff photographer on that paper and to have achieved that award is nothing short of tremendous. So if she had decided to pursue a career in photography, God bless her. If she has now decided to make a right hand turn into something else, whatever that is, wherever it is, wherever she goes, I'm all for it.
There we
I
go.
love that.
Yeah.
That's
Really,
awesome.
really
Yeah.
like it. I really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great answers.
Well, we want to thank you guys for coming on the pod. And obviously, before we let you go, we want you to tell our listeners where they can find you, follow you on your socials, or any upcoming endeavors you have going on.
Absolutely. Well, you can always follow me on Instagram, Natasha_Verma, and definitely follow our foundation too, Verma Foundation. You can go to vermafoundation.org to support us. We all have an upcoming event that we do every year in September, Capwalk NYC. It's a fashion show. And so I'm going to be announcing that date soon. And so September is a really big month for us. So if you're in the tri-state area, you should come out to our event. And I also have a podcast too that I launched with Fox called Talking with Natasha, and it's next level conversations, similar to how you guys have done it too, just interviewing, trailblazers, celebrity CEOs, just about how they overcame their difficult moments to find success and what that looks like. And it's almost like a roadmap to success. And I learn a lot when I sit down with our guests. And so you can see that on YouTube and Fox Local.
Awesome. And Omesh, how about you? Is there anywhere to follow you on social media?
Well, I'm only on Facebook and
All
Instagram and
good.
all that, and I'm not very involved in
That's
social
okay.
media. But you can definitely, I'm part of the Verma Foundation.
Yes,
Mhm.
So we definitely, advise people how, if they want to contribute to it. And it's for a very, very good cause because it is something that hits really very close to my heart.
definitely.
Uh, but I say I really enjoyed talking to you both.
You as
Uh,
well.
I and also really enjoyed that uh, the virtues and good things of life that we talked about. You also share the same. It warms my heart.
Well,
Definitely.
thank you. And Natasha Verma and Omesh Verma, thank you for a very revealing and especially heartfelt talk to go.